Hey, what's going on YouTube? My name is Mitch. I'm a holistic lifestyle coach and hypnotherapist. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to successfully transition through a life phase. I want to give you some advice on how to do a successful life transition, how to get through this probably difficult time in your life, a challenging time in your life. Give you some tips and tricks, give you a bit more understanding as to what is going on. And I think if you're here, it's probably quite a challenging time. So hopefully I can give you a bit more certainty. Hopefully I can give you a bit more understanding and get you through this a bit easier. So the first thing I want to invite you to understand is that us as humans, we have what I like to refer to and what other hypnotherapists refer to as a map of reality. Now, your map of reality, essentially, it's just our programming that we have from a young age, from different influences in our life, whether it's your upbringing. A lot of the time it's from social conditioning, whether it's in real life or more often than not, probably our TV viewing, social media, music, etc. Now, this map of reality, it's what basically pulls this map of reality together is what we do with information. This is a human trait. Basically, we can't take in all the information that's going on and around us. So what we do with the information is that we distort it, we generalize it, and we delete it. And this is how we've created this, essentially. Why we do this is our subconscious or unconscious mind, whatever you would like to call it, is in order to create this map of reality, we basically can't process 24/7, 365. I mean, you're not awake 24/7, but we can't process every piece of information that is coming in and try and piece that into it. The mind cannot physically do that with our current understanding. Maybe, in the Matrix in coming years we'll be able to do that, but just our human brain cannot physically process everything, put it into exactly where it needs to go, and then your map of reality changes like that, and everything's hunky-dory. Otherwise, if that was the case, there would be no issues with anxiety. There would be no one would ever feel uncertain because they'd know exactly what to do. The reason we have these experiences is basically because it's not necessarily that there's nothing wrong with us, there's nothing wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with me. It's that oftentimes our map of reality is just not, it's not the map, it's not what we need to get us to where we want to go. So if you find yourself saying, I want to do this, I have this goal, I have this vision, but you're not getting there, 100% it's basically your map of reality is not going to serve you. To get there, you probably have you have thought processes that are not useful to get you there. We can change this with hypno. You can change this. A lot of the time, what it takes to change this is very oftentimes traumatic or highly stressful experiences, but it doesn't need to be like that. But I mean, a lot of the time people go through divorces, they have health challenges, just to name a few, and that will change their understanding of the opposite sex. That will change it forces them to change their understanding of their health, their well-being. Maybe that's why you're watching this video, So, what's important when we talk about the map of reality is that the map is not the territory. And that just means that whilst you might be thinking a certain thought, it might not be true. I'm not saying don't trust yourself. It's important to trust yourself and to back yourself. But if your actions and your thinking aren't getting you to where you want to go, it's probably not the best idea to believe that this is exactly how it is. Which moves me on to my next point, which is I learned this from a great mentor in the hypnotherapy field. And this is a quote, not from that mentor, but from a great man, what's known, he's the father of modern hypnosis, goes by the name of Milton Erickson. Now, Milton Erickson, he was the father of modern hypnosis. He created an entire new way of doing hypnosis, and he used this to create basically it was the biggest change in hypnosis since it was invented. Extremely effective, extremely well put together. And what Milton Erickson says, a great quote, he says that all human suffering comes down to one thing. Can you guess what that thing is? It's not money. What Milton Erickson says is that all human suffering is due to rigidity. And what that means is that us humans, we all have a tendency to distort, delete, and generalize our life experience in order to feel more comfortable, more certain. And when we do this, it often creates rigidity in our thinking. It creates less flexibility and malleability. And when we do this, when we have this rigidity, you can't solve a problem at the level it was created, okay? So basically the more rigid our thinking is, the less flexible it is, the less resilient we're going to be. You're not going to, and you know, in the context of your life transition, whatever that might be, if you're feeling a sense of helplessness, hopelessness, you're feeling like a challenge, you don't know what's going to happen in the future, you're catastrophizing, I just ask you, invite you, do you think you could be a little bit more flexible? Do you think you could be okay with not knowing? And if so, how so? I'm not saying to just hope, you know, have a plan, look how you can take action steps, but how can you be okay with where you're at, with the uncomfortability that you're probably experiencing, with the uncertainty? Now you might be saying, okay, that's all well and good, Mitch. I can't, you know, in order to be a bit more resilient, to move through this, I need to not be as rigid. I need to be more flexible, adaptable. But how can I sort of do that? Now, what I invite you to do for a third time, what I invite you to do is, I'm going to give you an analogy, not analogy, I'm going to give you another examples. Now, this is a psychological phenomena. As humans, we have what is referred to as our locus, what in hypnotherapy it's referred to as the locus of control. Now, we have a locus of control, and what this means is basically where we assign responsibility in our lives. So you can basically have an internal locus of control or an external locus of control. It's basically, if you have an external locus of control, you are assigning the responsibility to everything out there that isn't you. If you're in a workplace, office politics, not getting promoted, whatever, and you're thinking, if you have an external locus of control, it will be, I can't get promoted because the office politics are the worst. The work culture is just, it doesn't align with me. I can't do as well as these other people because they're all go-getters and I'm not. basically you've shifted the entire responsibility onto the situation at hand. Understand? What I invite you to do, more empowering, is to move that locus of control to an internal, which means that you have the ability, whether you believe so or not, I'm telling you that you do, you have the ability to do a whole lot more than you think you can. You're basically if you think that you can't do X, Y, Z, it's basically because you've just got this attribution style, and it's really just a program that we're running. It gets a little bit annoying when you listen to a whole lot of self-help, Tony Robbins style stuff. When they're telling people to take responsibility, but the fact of the matter is a lot of the time people are running subconscious programming that they don't know how to change, and makes them very difficult for them to think differently, act differently. But let's just start with a baby step today. Just with 2 things in your life. Instead of getting a takeaway meal, eating out, just make some food at home and shift that responsibility for your health back to yourself. Just cook yourself something healthy, or a conversation that you don't want to have. To give yourself a bit more self-respect, to give yourself a bit more confidence, self-esteem. I want you to do something that you think is kind of out of your control. It will be difficult, it will be hard. This is just a bit of desensitization. If you can find a good hypnotherapist in your area, they will be able to work with this. Preferably find a Ericksonian hypnotherapist. That's my endorsement. But yeah, our attribution style, a lot of what you may be experiencing is directly due to this. If you're attributing your situation right now to external factors, that's going to lead to anxiety, that's going to lead to low self-esteem, that's going to lead to low self-worth. Just take a little bit more responsibility. That's all it takes, is just a little bit more for your situation, for where you're at. And you got this. Many people have gone through what you've gone through before, as hard as it may be. Alright, thank you for watching. Subscribe, like. I'll see you next time. Thank you.